Hey guys, before we get started, a big happy podiversary. Matt, we had a podiversary. Matt's already frozen. This isn't a good way to start the program. You already froze. I was like, this is we're off to a great
Yep.
start. Matt frozen.
Yay.
I said we had a podiversary, dog.
Yeah. It included me too, right?
Yeah, man. 7 years. Can you believe it?
Is that the number? Is that the real number?
I think so. That's the count I have. But again, like I'm bad at math, man. I'm not gonna lie. We started in 2008. Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who cares? 7 years. Let's just say it. I mean, who's gonna do the math and correct us, right?
Yeah. Who's been with us since the beginning? There'll be a couple listeners who are like, wait a minute. I remember I was in my mom's basement listening to you because you guys said fuck. And I lowered it every time you guys talked about dick pizzas. I lowered it so my parents wouldn't hear.
Yep, somebody will definitely say that. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. So hey, happy podiversary, man. It's been good. It's been really fun. I can't believe it. And like you were just saying, I'm so glad that we just doesn't matter who's listening, doesn't matter how many likes we get. We're just having fun. And if we laugh and one other person laughs, that's worth it.
I love when listeners are existing. But honestly, as long as I can make you laugh, that's always my barometer. Like Amanda will be like, how did recording go? If my face hurts and I know yours does too, great. And there's nights I think you crack me up and there's nights I think I crack you up. Usually I think it's both, but as long as one of us was laughing, good.
Yeah, that's all I need. That's why it's fun. I'm excited tonight, man. We have some movies to talk about. I got one that I just watched that I'm super pumped on. I'm actually really, really excited to talk about this movie. But before we talk about those movies, you guys, those who are listening know what to do. And they're like, guys, we already did the thing that you're going to ask us to do. This is for people who aren't listening that you're asking to do this thing. But like, subscribe, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twix. That's the new Twitter name, I guess. So, Twitter,
Peanut Butter Twix?
Peanut Butter
Twix was like the greatest fucking Twix ever and just gone.
Disagree. Completely disagree.
You like caramel?
I don't like anything that tastes like fake shitty peanut butter to me. And my barometer, I think, is pretty tuned to the peanut butter realm. What is the best? Hold on. Hold the phone. Facebook, Instagram, and Twix at Launchpad Pod, and our website, launchpadpod.com, and on YouTube. Watch our funny faces and watch us get into this fucking fight as we fight about peanut butter snacks on the Launchpad Podcast.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
This is why we're good partners for this specific thing. Like as roommates, we succeeded for the most part, but there were times where we literally wrestled on the floor or had yelling arguments. Not many, but it happened. And I think if we were in a romantic dyad, I think we'd have some troubles here and there. I think if we tried to run a business, I think there'd be things that we succeeded at as a couple and things that we failed at. But as a podcasting duo, this is great because you know that it's very important for us to say all those social media stuff and to get those subscribers. And I'm like, wait, stop. Tell me about the fucking peanut butter. We need to get to the bottom of this.
I agree, and we're going to get into it, but let me hit this intro first. All right, welcome to Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm peanut butter.
And this guy
should have said I'm peanut.
And see, missed opportunities. We're terrible podcasters.
No, I'm good. You're terrible. I'm trying to get that peanut butter content for our. There's listeners out there. We're talking about podiversity. There's listeners out there who are like, didn't you guys used to call yourself a pop culture countdown and used to do a countdown at the end of every episode? We're like, yeah, but now we just argue about peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
We just got old. That's what it is.
That's what happened. And people right now are like, Good Mythical Morning literally just did this like 2 weeks ago, which is true. But you know what? this is our turn to get it in. Matt brought it up. He probably doesn't even know what that show is.
Yes, that peanut butter podcast.
Peanut butter podcast. What is the best peanut butter snack? Because Twix to me was like fake ass shitty peanut butter.
Oh, that wasn't the best peanut butter snack. That was just the best Twix.
Oh no, I like the caramel. I like caramel though.
No, I will never take caramel over peanut butter. I'm not a huge caramel guy. If caramel's in a candy that I'm eating, fine. I usually don't pick it. I don't pick a candy around caramel. But I'm not. If you have peanut butter Twix and caramel Twix, no contest. If you have a Crunch Bar and a caramel something, no contest.
But what about like peanut M&Ms versus peanut butter M&Ms?
Peanut butter M&Ms all the way.
Barf. Oh, that's yucky peanut butter.
Whatchamacallit just had another kind of bar that was called like Thingamajig or something like that.
Yes.
It wasn't Scrunnamarunk. It came in a red wrapper.
They're gone though, aren't they?
Correct. I can't find them, but those were good.
I do like a whatchamacallit though, man. That was a good candy bar.
So here, because we're a pop culture countdown, here's what you got to do. You got to go to, I don't know if they have this in the southern states because they're so far behind everything, but if you have a world market down there, if not, I'll send it to you.
Those are only in California, man, I think.
Is that
true?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
First of all, pretty misleading name if that's the case, right? How much of the world is California? Like,
well, it's world market because they're bringing the world to you. They go out to all around the world and put it all in their store.
No, that's purposely misleading your audience. They should be called
World
California Market.
California Market, which sells stuff because like that's where you can get like a chair from Peru and like here's a rug from Nairobi, and you're like, oh, cool. Thanks.
Have you ever had the Kit Kats that are fat? They're called like Big Cats or Big Kit Kats. It's like the size of your thumb.
What?
Yeah, they're good. They have those like in regular markets from not the world, but like you can get that maybe at CVS or something. But like it's roughly the size of my thumb, and it's one big Kit Kat.
It's called a Toblerone, dog.
No, that's a piece of that's nothing compared to these. The Kit Kats are good. Now Amanda got me peanut butter Kit Kats, which are those, but with peanut butter. And I don't know what in the world literally is going on there, but you talked about like a shitty fake chemical taste.
Yeah.
It is so good when you're eating it, but about 3 bites in, you get this aftertaste that makes you not want to finish the second half of the bar. But I power through because the beginning part of like what's the opposite of an aftertaste? The before or during taste is so good that it's actually like I went back to World Market and bought a bunch more because even though that aftertaste tries to spoil it, the experience is still so good and the candy bar itself is so good. I guess what you have to do is eat it quick and then throw up as fast as you can.
I love that you just brought up that aftertaste implies another state of taste, which I think is just called flavor or the taste.
No, during taste.
The during taste. That's interesting. I always love when you have a coworker who's like, I'm going to Japan. And then they come back with like the weirdest Kit Kat ever. And you're like, is that a novelty? Or is that just like everybody loves matcha Kit Kats? Fuck yes. Matcha Kit Kat. Then you're like, wait, it's like, because every now and then like Coke will do like spiced Coke. And you're like, yeah, that's not a thing. That's just it's like a trial. It's a promotional thing to see if people are going to like it just to make a little extra money or whatever. Is matcha Kit Kat or like red bean Kit Kat, are those real flavors that are there all the time that are popular? Or is that just something that they're like, this dumb American will buy it in a tourist shop?
That's what I think.
Really?
And I'll tell you right now, I just got my friend Callista just got me 2 types of Kit Kats. One of them is orange and one of them is strawberry shortcake. Strawberry shortcake is great. And they both have Asian writing on it. Strawberry shortcake is great. Strawberry Kit Kats are fucking fantastic. Someone at school got those for me a couple years ago. It is the best non-Kit Kat, like not regular Kit Kat that I think I've ever had. But back to peanut butter. I mean, I got to go Reese's peanut butter cup.
It's Reese's peanut butter. Correct. Yeah. The correct answer is Reese's peanut butter cup.
And do you like the fat ones, the big ones?
No, because there's several tiers of big ones. I like the regular big ones, and then there's like the huge ones. I had one that was as big as my head once, and that was gross.
Okay. Yeah.
That did not, because the ratio is off. some of the shaped ones, you know how they have the ones that are eggs, and then they have the ones that are Christmas trees, and then they have the ones that are pumpkins.
Yes.
Some of those, the Christmas trees are delicious. The pumpkins, the ratio's off. There's too much peanut butter to size to chocolate. The big ones are okay, and they hit that pretty good, but the giant ones are no good.
So the big ones I like. I don't think they like the big one. When we say big ones, they're like thick. It's almost like
Yes,
two of them stacked.
a double stuffed, if you will.
A couple years ago, they had one where they had one that was double chocolate. It was a regular-ish size cup, but the ratio was off in favor of chocolate. Or you could get one where the ratio was off in favor of peanut butter. And I thought both of those were fine, but a novelty, not as good as the regular. Now, when you're talking about the shapes, the small shapes, yes, the ratio is off, but I still don't give a shit. Valentine's Day, they have hearts that are about the size of my hand.
Yep.
That is the absolute best ratio peanut butter cup Reese's ever, to the point where
bold
every single Valentine's Day +1, every single February 15th, you will find me hitting every CVS and Rite Aid and Walgreens that has them, and I will buy them out. I will go like literally all night. I just did it on February 15th here. I bought about 10 of them. They are fantastic.
I buy as many of the Easter eggs as I can. I like the Easter eggs.
The big ones? The big ones that are like the size of your hand?
No, the ones that are like, like that big.
Yeah.
No, not the super big ones. So yeah, welcome to the Fat Kid Podcast. I'm Aaron.
Welcome to the Lick Your Plate Podcast.
Dude, do you know what I did this weekend?
I'm guessing it was eat peanut butter.
I did have some Reese's peanut butter cups. Not gonna lie, I went back to our alma mater.
Emerson?
Yeah, I went.
Okay.
I presented at the Evvies.
Did you really?
I did. Me and my writing partner, Patrick Mediate, not Mediate as they pronounced his name on stage.
Is he at Emerson, dude?
Yeah, we both are from the same class. We went back and we gave out 3 Evie Awards for supporting actor in a play, movie, and musical.
Did you pretend like you knew about any of that stuff?
Yeah, I went immediately on
the cutting room floor.
Yeah, they cut that part out.
Explain what the Evvies is for the 90% of us listening who are not Emerson college graduates.
So Emerson every year puts on a student-run show where every aspect of it is run by students, and they do a pretty damn good job. For what it is, I'm impressed. It's certainly, like it's cool. It's got pretty high production value, and it's basically like student Oscars. So like they vote, they get awards. It's the students show up. The place was packed. It's at the Majestic Theater, which is a really nice old theater. And it's basically like the Oscars for just the students and faculty and staff, and they put on a hell of a show. It was flattering to be brought back. It's like, I almost got kicked out of this school, and here I am presenting. Look how far I've come. Thank you, Emerson.
And the award for Best Background Actor in an Offstage Broadway Student Production.
Yes, basically.
Played at a local charitable theater. Goes to.
So my favorite joke that I did at the night that nobody found funny.
That automatically means I'm gonna love it.
So we're in the green room, and the PA in the green room who looks like what I'm wearing now, with a headset with a microphone and a walkie-talkie, and they're in all black. They're stagehand. They are just there to make sure I get from the green room to backstage at the right time so I can be on stage when they call our names. And we're waiting, and I go, "Hey, where's the bathroom?" And she's like, "Oh, there's no bathroom in the green room." And I go, "What? Where else am I going to do all my drugs?" And the look on her face was shock, disapproval, and then, "Oh, fuck, I need to find a room for this man to do drugs."
Yeah, she had to go tell campus police and fill out like a 2-page report. You made that poor 21-year-old girl's night extra long for your dumb joke.
Then I was like, I'm kidding. I don't have any drugs, but seriously, I do need to find a bathroom. And they were like, "Oh, yeah. Let's go find." But like they didn't think they had trouble finding it. This labyrinthian basement. And they're like, "Oh, maybe it's over here." It's like, Do you not go to the bathroom? Have you not had to use the facilities of your place of employment? You've been putting on this show, practicing, rehearsing, getting this all together, and you haven't once had to go to the bathroom down here? What is going on?
Here's what happened. You weren't in the green room. You were in the light green room, the off green room. They had the A-listers, the people who are presenting like the bigger awards. They had a bathroom in their green room, and in the bathroom was a drug room.
Yeah,
you could do your drugs like a professional.
It was great. So big shout out to the Abbies and everybody there who hosted us. It was fun. Thank you. But yeah, man, it was fun. And then the other night I got to watch a baller movie. Do you have some movies to talk about?
I do.
Yeah. Do you want to go first? Since I was talking about my cool shit, why don't you say some cool shit? Say some cool shit, Matt.
Okay. Well, okay. Cool. I'll say some funny shit instead of cool shit because that's all I got.
Dealer's choice. I have no control.
In about 8 minutes, our listeners are going to be like, "That was neither funny nor cool." That's worse. That's worse advertising than world market. All right. So
I hope they start talking about peanut butter again.
Now I have to watch the peanut butter war just to keep on topic. So one of my favorite streaming services is Tubi, right? I think they have such great, terrible, shitty movies, and also some pretty niche horror movies from any genre, but 70s, 80s, 90s. Really good place to hit. So late night, that's a really good place for me. They do, however, have a pretty quick turnover. So a lot of times I'll add stuff to my watch list, and a couple days later, it'll be like 5 days left, 3 days left. Oh, it's leaving soon. It's gone. But then it'll pop back on, and I don't know if all of them do that. I guess Netflix does it too. If I had it on my watch list and I didn't watch it and they pulled it, but then later get it back, it pops back up on your watch list. So it's like, hey, remember me? And most times I'm like, yes. So George C. Scott was in a 1979 movie called Hardcore. And the summary on Tubi says a rough-spoken father sets out to look for his daughter after she disappears from a religious camp. And the movie is called Hardcore. So I'm imagining some man on fire shit. This is going to be a movie where George C. Scott fights the underworld for his daughter, is how I've interpreted the summary. Not true. Hardcore, spoiler alert, is describing the world of pornography that she has been pulled into. And now George C. Scott, her father, bringing you with him, has to walk through this underworld of smut to try to find his daughter.
The poster,
and I'll tell you,
the poster,
yes,
is George C. Scott holding his head in the palm of his hands, like really upset. It says, "Oh my God, that's my daughter." What a nightmare.
So it's written and directed by Paul Schrader, who I think hopefully you guys know from Taxi Driver, if not a bunch of other like real gritty New Yorkish crime type of things. The thumbnail that was on Tubi was George C. Scott in a suit with a kind of a girl behind him, a reddish background, and he looks kind of badass. Peter Boyle is also in the movie, plays a private investigator. When you click on when you're on Tubi and you click on that thumbnail, the image that opens up is the two of them at a diner, and they look like they're having a serious conversation. So I did not know pornography was any part of this until I started.
Okay.
And oh my God, he has to like, it gets heavy, and like it is not, it was kind of uncomfortable to watch. It certainly was not what I was ready for. 10:30 at night on like a weekday night, I thought I was just going to watch brain off 1970s action, action movie. And this guy, he's trying to find his daughter. They can't figure out what happened to her. Peter Boyle ends up showing him a porn, and he's like, "Come on into this porn theater." and he sits the guy down, and the movie starts, and it's his daughter and two guys. And you're like, oh my, that was the best way you could think to tell. There was no like, listen, this is going to be hard. He's like, you need to see this. And he brings him in. And then from there, George C. Scott is trying to track down the two guys in the movie and the filmmakers to try to find out where his daughter is. He does, I guess, spoiler, he does eventually find her. There is a little bit of a reveal. There's one action scene when he kind of tries to save her. And I guess it's kind of interesting because through this whole journey, he thinks that she's been corrupted and she was pulled away and drugged and all this other stuff. Yeah. And I guess that's most of the sex slave movies that we've seen. But when he finds her, she's like, they didn't make me do that. I wanted to do that. And he's like, oh, what? And she's like, yeah, you weren't, the mom is dead. You didn't love me after mom died. And he's like, I'll try harder. And she's like, okay. And then they make up. So that was kind of, I wish that hadn't ended so nice, but at least it didn't make me want to rip my eyes out. But it definitely was like, did you see 8mm with Nicolas Cage?
That was crazy.
It's kind of like that where like, whoa, this is not exactly how it was sold to me, and I was not ready for that bill of sale. Yeah. I'm on IMDb right now, and the poster is as Aaron described it. And the summary here is a religious businessman from Michigan has to venture into the world of pornography in California, desperately searching for his runaway teenage daughter. That's not the summary that I read. I was not ready for the movie that I watched. But I mean, that said, if you watch it knowing what it is and not expecting it to be man on fire at any given moment, it's really well done. You feel his pain. You feel his determination to get through this, to save her, to get her. He kind of makes friends with another prostitute who is part of the chain that helps him get to where he's going. She does a really good job. He does a really good job. There's a little bit of a, hey, Jack, it's Chinatown type of ending at the end. Jake, hey, Jake, it's Chinatown. And at the end where they're just kind of like, dude, you can't change this world. Pretty interesting. But
I brought this up the other day on my Saturday show, and it was, you can't fathom, if you weren't born in that era, how seedy the 70s were. Like going into Times Square.
Sure, right.
The Times Square in New York City. You could go see live sex shows where people boinked on stage, like stripper booths, peep shows, like real live sex workers. And I like when I was watching this documentary about the Torso murder, which was like,
yeah,
real, it's gnarly, but like they were interviewing all these sex workers from that era, and you're just like, wait, you did what? Like in a theater, like on stage? And
I like that you still call it a theater.
And people, well, because it is. It's like a stage, and people are in the front row, and they're like, "I paid money, now do your show." And you're like, "All right, like holy shit, that's wild." That blows my mind that society was just like, cool. And like now, like people think that we're like a cesspool of immorality now. Man, I can't imagine how people felt in the 70s. I have a story. I'm trying to tell this in a way that feels appropriate to our podcast.
Take your shirt off first. Does that
help? So this guy comes to work and he's like, all right, guys, I just want to, this isn't what he sounds like, but to protect the innocent. All right, guys, I just want to get it out in the open. I know. I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. I know my daughter has an OnlyFans. I'm just gonna ask everyone here not to look at it. Okay? Just want to get it out there and let everybody know.
So immediately everybody pulled out their phones and looked up his daughter's OnlyFans. Oh my God. Right?
By the end of the month, she was like a #1 contributor or something. And she's like, like, oh my God. I have no idea how to feel about like any of that now because we just live in a weird time. But it's like this guy was like, guys, I don't want you looking at my daughter. Like, I support her, I love her, but like, just please, I just don't want everybody telling me about it later. So I'm just gonna get it out there. And then everybody was like, I'll be back on an unrelated matter.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I think I mean, I don't know. I live in California and I'm 40 years old, but I feel like we're like becoming this society that's trying, right? Let's just say American society is trying to be okay with most things, right?
Yep.
So you want to have an OnlyFans page, you want to be a pornographer or an actress or actor or whatever anything in that I think probably still does have a stigma. It has less of a stigma maybe than it did in the 70s.
Yeah.
But to watch a movie that is made at a time where it's more of a stigma, right?
Huge
1979.
stigma. Yeah.
And like you said, this is not in New York. This is in California, but still it's in Los Angeles and it's supposed to be the seedy underworld. And it certainly is portrayed that way. Like they show a guy who is trying to make a good porno and he is trying to. I just realized both of my movies that I wanted to talk about tonight are porno related. But
Matt, were you trying to watch a different
I did this weekend?
Were you trying to watch a different movie? You're like, well, this isn't the porno I was looking for. But
the first movie I found trying to find the second movie
you were looking for.
But like, it's interesting to watch this movie from the 70s where it's trying to show what was probably middle America, the average American, the dark, seedy underbelly of your daughter could get whisked away into porn. And then the ultimate quote unquote reveal possibly nightmare, at least for the father at the end, was she didn't get whisked away. She ran to that world.
Yeah.
So the only thing I guess I wish was it was a kind of a cool gut punch at the end, but then they kind of took it back by having him kind of overlook that and be like, okay, what you did is what you did. I want to take you back. And she's like, okay. I kind of would have liked almost, I guess, better as the structure of the film is if at the end of the second act, you find out she wasn't whisked away. She chose that. And he has to deal with that choice and, I guess, continue his adventure accordingly. That would have been more interesting, I guess, than the ending. They kind of felt like they just kind of
sits him down and she says, George, I make more money in a week than you make in a year.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there. Yeah. And yes, I spend it all on blow, but
also a good era for that. But yeah, it was interesting. And George C. Scott, I've seen a bunch of his movies. I don't know that he's ever done a bad movie, and he certainly never did a bad job at a movie.
I have never seen him be like, oh, George C. Scott's phoning it in.
Yeah. I wanted to see him frickin' Man on Fire, though, because the movie that I had in my head before I hit play was engaging. It was a good movie. But
oh man,
so
George C. Scott's in some amazing stuff. Changeling, Exorcist 3. I mean, come on. Hatton.
One of my favorites is Dr. Strangelove. He's just so freaking good in that.
Oh, I mean, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. It has to be.
But I guess real quick, last thing would just be Paul Schrader. He has written and directed so much. Just looking at some of his stuff, he he wrote Bringing Out the Dead, which is a Scorsese. So was Last Temptation of Christ. So was Taxi Driver.
What? Wait, he did
Raging Bull.
Wait, so he's just been Scorsese's writer for years.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Ooh, he did a movie in 1974, 2 years before Taxi Driver, called The Yakuza.
Wait, he wrote Taxi Driver?
Yes, Paul Schrader.
Paul Schrader has literally, he did Bringing Out the Dead, and that was a bomb. And then he didn't do any more Scorsese movies.
Did you see Bringing Out the Dead?
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's definitely not his or their strongest movie, but I love it. It is
the beginning of Scorsese's whoopsie.
Well, I got to say, and this is why I started talking about Paul Schrader to begin with, though, he definitely has that New York vibe where he's telling a story. And I know I'm saying this just talking about a story that takes place in Michigan and California, but he tells a story kind of like Frank Miller does sometimes where New York is a character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Taxi Driver is starring Robert De Niro and New York City. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And I feel like the way he tells a not really noirish, but a crime story, definitely an urban New York crime story is really, really cool. And I like his stuff for that. And this movie certainly had that grit to it. Even if you take the pornography out of it, and I'm not saying that pornography is gritty, I'm just saying the movie made it seem that way. But even if you take that out, just how he presents a city feels like that, both as a writer and a director. So it's an interesting, it was an interesting movie to watch, but it's
Yeah.
not Man on Fire.
Not Man on Fire. I also did not watch Man on Fire. I watched a pretty cool movie, came out this year called Abigail. Did you see Abigail?
No, but it's like recent, right? Like right now.
Yeah, like just came out on VOD.
Mm-mm.
Have you
Is
seen
it a lot of teeth? A girl with a lot of teeth?
Yeah, have you seen the poster?
I think I saw something that said girl with a lot of teeth.
The fact that you already know she has a lot of teeth, the movie's ruined. So I'm just gonna go on with the spoilers, okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Why? I
Yeah.
hate that they do that.
Yeah. This is the thing. So the movie is fucking great.
Mm.
Even though it spoiled itself on its own poster, it's fucking great. And it makes up for it. Even though it starts a little slow. And just when you're like, man, I need you to pick whoa, girl with a lot of teeth. Cool. It is a classic sort of like House on Haunted Hill or The Haunting. People trapped in a house, 24 hours, shit goes wrong. But it starts out as a kidnapping heist movie, which is fucking cool.
Ooh.
So these group of people kidnap this little girl and they bring her to the safe house, and the rules are just watch her for 24 hours and we'll get the money from her father, who's somebody big. No names. Nobody, don't say anybody's names. So that everybody has names from the Rat Pack, which is fitting because they're trapped in here like rats. So as they're trapped in there and they start feeling each other out and they're having witty banter that goes on for a little too long, but witty enough to keep things moving. Dan Stevens is in this as a great character. I love him in it.
Does he come in like a hovercraft and then he drops down singing? Yeah, click him out. Ugh.
Yeah, basically. No, he's great. He's completely different. We got Dan Stevens, Catherine Newton, who was in Freaky. She was great in that. Kevin Durand, that kid Angus Cloud, who is dead. He died while making this movie. Sucks. It's funny
because the only thing he's known for.
He was in a show called Euphoria, and in this movie, he plays like this burnout. He's like, "Sup, man? I'm all like stoned and burn out, man." And you're like, "Okay, you're the stoner character." And then they're like, "R.I.P." at the end, Angus Cloud. And I look up, and I was like, "I wonder what he died from." And it's like overdose, heroin, methamphetamines, Tylenol 7, just like everything. I was like, "Dang, that was quite a night, man. That's quite the list of things to put in your body." Anyway, RIP, that's too bad. Addiction's terrible. Anyway, so they're trapped in this house, right? And they have this little girl. And one person, Melissa Barra, who she plays Joey, she is the only one who's supposed to go talk to the little girl. And the little girl's like, she starts playing her against her compatriots. And then Dan Stevens gets pissed and he runs in there and he puts a gun against the little girl's head. He's like, "Who the fuck is your father?" And she tells him, he's like, "Oh no, we're out. We got to go. I'm out." And they run to the front door and they open it. Bars. They're trapped inside. Oh, shit. And he's like, her father is a ruthless gangster. And he has a secret assassin called Valdez. And that assassin literally just decapitates people. And of course, what starts happening? Oh, decapitations. And they're gory and they're creepy. And by now, I bet you can guess what is happening, Remy.
So you don't see who's doing it. Is it made to play out like there's another person in there doing the decapitations?
Right, exactly. But I saw your fucking poster, so I know who's doing the fucking decapitation. So there's literally this brief moment where the characters in the movie are like, "Oh no, who's the creepy assassin for this gangster?" And you're like, "God damn it, you already blew your cover, movie." But that movie's like, hold my beer. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And then it gets into like a super fucking gory, like vampire bloodbath. And it's awesome. Great, like bloody sequences, pretty cool twists and turns, people trying to escape a haunted house. It's fun. And I was straight here for it. But there is that brief moment where you're like, how could you fucking not see that you have already ruined your own movie And it's like, well, I'm going to just dump a couple gallons of blood on that and you'll be fine. I was like, oh, you're right. Thanks.
Where does the movie reveal that? Like, is it in the first act, second act, or is it like a last act reveal of
Beginning of second act, beginning of the second act.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at least it's not like, because I hate when it's like a middle of third act reveal and you're like, I already know that Luke is his son.
Beginning of the second act. It's like straight, like you're about 30 minutes in when she's like, and starts fucking shit up. And like the vampires are cool. In this movie, when a vampire dies, they immediately burst like a blood balloon, just like massive blood explosion. You hit him with sunlight, stake to the heart. It's pretty sweet.
All right. So definitely a checkout movie, definitely worth checking out.
Very much worth checking out. I got way into it when it started when it found its little vampire feet. It was badass because now it's like she's like, yeah, turns out I am this fucking ghost assassin that's been just murdering for my father for years, and I'm just toying with you. She's like, I let people kidnap me. How many times do you think I've been kidnapped, and how long do you think they lasted? Do you remember the movie Phenomena? Jennifer Connelly. Do you remember the scene when she goes in the body pit at the end?
Fuck yeah.
They have an homage to that in this. There's a body pit.
Oh, nice.
It is fucking really gory, really gnarly, and just pretty fun and pretty like well written in the heist genre. You know, you got your cliche characters, but they do a good job of making it a good time. It is. I really liked it for 2024. I'm like, that was pretty solid. Good job, guys.
I do feel like we are in an era, the last, let's say 5 to 7 years of better movies coming out more and more. I think the average has swung back to better filmmaking. Let's say specifically with horror. I actually just watched a horror movie that a lot of people were really, really into. And I don't know if it's just because I saw it a year and a half later than everybody else, but didn't really put any wind in my sails, but I just watched 2022's X finally.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first one, right?
Yeah. X. There's X.
I liked it fine.
Then Pearl, and then Maxine.
I haven't seen Pearl yet. So
Maxine in the seedy underbelly of the porn world.
Here's my thing about X, okay? And our really tight listeners will remember that we talked about this. Oh, that was Brittany Snow. Huh. This is the best thing I ever saw Brittany Snow do. Except for her be a racist girl in Nip Tuck.
Yes.
When X first came out and was getting buzz as being the next cool horror movie, I saw a movie called X on Amazon Prime, and I started playing it.
Yes.
You remember this?
You're like, wait, this is the one, and there's like this, and I'm like, that is not the same movie. And you're like, are you sure?
It was a woman in a back of like a Uber or a taxi, and the very first thing that happens is you hear a mechanical or a robotic beep, a computer beep. And I thought it was part of the taxi or her phone that she's playing on. She gets out of this taxi at this beautiful giant mansion. She walks in, gives a password, puts on a mask, and she's in an eyes wide shut place. But she starts every once in a while, she says a curse, and the curse is bleeped out. Like on the Howard Stern show, bleeped out. Then she gets in, and I don't think you see sex acts depicted, but it's clear that's where she's at. Then she sits down at a long banquet table outside. I guess there's like craft services at Eyes Wide Shut parties. And she sits down, and I noticed that in the middle of the table, there are these blurred egg-shaped things. They almost look like centerpieces, but for sure they've been, I guess digitally or optically blurred. So there's something on the table that some censor doesn't want me to see. So this guy comes over and starts chatting her up, and he's like, pretty weird that we're at a party like this, right? With dildos on the table and everything. I was like, okay, so those white eggish things underneath that blur must be a dildo. So I was like, I will not watch or listen or read or anything if it's cut or abridged or especially censored. I refuse to watch it. I want to see it, especially if it's a dildo. But like, but like, I'm like, oh, and I told you about it. I told a couple other people, and I was like, I've never seen Amazon censor something. And it was a horror movie called X. So I turned it off and didn't think of it. And every once in a while, I would see that same movie on Amazon again and just wouldn't. I tried it a couple times. Same things were censored, so I didn't watch it. I thought I asked somebody about this movie, this real movie, X, 2022,
Ty West,
directed by Ty West. Jenny Ortega is in it, Brittany Snow, Mia Goth, and Kid Cudi. He's
Kid
in
Cudi.
it.
Kid Cudi.
It's not how I call him. Kid
Into
Cudi.
Cud. Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Kid Cudi either, and I know some of his stuff.
Yeah, you
But
didn't
anyway.
know? You didn't know? You saw his dick and you didn't know it was him?
I knew when I saw that.
But
like, I finally was like, oh, it's that movie. So then, and actually, you were the clincher. You were like, yeah, Jenny Ortega. You were like, no, she's not in it. I was like, I'm looking at a picture. It's that. And I said, I don't remember if it was you or someone. Someone was like, well, it's not like they're making a porno. First of all, yes, it is. Whoever told me that, whether it was you or someone else, they are 100% making a porno.
wasn't me. That's what that movie's about, is about making a porno.
And it said like they're trying to do it without the old people who live in the house knowing.
Yeah.
And I told that to someone there, and whoever it was like, well, it's not exactly a porno. It's literally a porno. It's 100%.
Yes.
So, but like, no, the movie was really good. I liked it. I liked some aspects of it, but I think it just tried to have a creepy thing with these weird old people with no their creepy stuff. There was also a couple things that just didn't make any sense. I was like, why would that be that? Why wouldn't they just do that? Why wouldn't they just do that? Why wouldn't they just do that? And I was like, it wasn't bad. It was good acted. The kills and the gore were good. The who ends up being the antagonist was good. And it definitely is that thing of almost like Texas Chainsaw, where you're like, tell me more. Why is he doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to tell me why? That's kind of interesting and creepy. But it wasn't I guess that's the best way to say it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't noteworthy to me.
That's the thing. Like, it's not, I don't know. It didn't thrill me. Like, I was like, that was cool. I think
okay.
the thing is people are just way more into the character of it. They're like, wow, what a liberating story. And wow, you really saw a big arc for this main character who's a woman. The final girl has a huge arc. She goes from being like kind of timid and mild to being in a porno and murdering people. Cool. What an arc. But at the end of the day, this is just exploitation, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think but I do think something that it does, which I don't know how many people that watch it are conscious of, is it is a throwback to that type of movie and that time of not just life, but movie making, where that was the horror of the day for a hot minute. And I think it does that without, I guess, without being too on the nose and without being too pandering. Because I think sometimes when you do it too literal or too point blank, it takes the flavor out of it, as opposed to making something now that feels and looks like that. It's almost like if you just digitally grain up your film to make it look like a 70s film and call it exploitation, you're missing the point. That's not what that is. But I think this movie kind of did make it feel like that. You can kind of see, like, it's made in 2022, but if you saw that same exact movie in 1975, you'd be like, oh, okay, I believe that same movie could be made.
It is. I like that it's a throwback. I think that's what I really liked about it. I was like,
it does it well, I think.
Yeah, but and I think a lot of times if you found this on VHS, you'd be like, this movie rocks.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it.
And
we should do an episode just on that.
Oh yeah, if this was found on VHS, I have a couple movies where it's like, if this was not in English, it'd be a better movie. Do you remember the movie Elysium? Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon. Yeah, I remember watching that, and I remember liking a lot about it when I walked out of the theater. Have not thought about it since, but yeah.
So I went and saw it because I love Neil Blomkamp. He's one of my favorite. I think everything he does is great. Even his shitty movie.
You're right.
Even his shitty movie Chappie is not bad.
I agree.
It's not good. It's not great, but it's fine. It's fine. It's serviceable. Anyway, Elysium, this movie, has a lot of shit that's like glossed over. And I was like, if this was just in a different language and the subtitles just kind of dragged you through it, you wouldn't bump at anything that happened in this movie. Because you'd be like, translation problem. It's fine. I was reading the subtitles. I know what's happening. Like if this was in French and you just had to read your way through it, this movie, everything that happens in the movie is cool. Everything that they try to explain to you in the movie doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
And it's not because it's sci-fi. It's not because, oh, my bloop blop can run my Gigatron up the, quantumifier. It's not that kind of shit. It's literally like the character stuff that you're like, why does that character need to say that? Why does that character need to act that way? If they were just like, oh, Sacre Bleu, you'd be like, he's fine.
Silly French people.
I'm serious. Like, I think Elysium is just, I dare you to go find it on Netflix or something and watch it in a different language and see if you're like, oh, this movie's actually pretty fucking sweet.
That would be a funny experiment to do with a couple films, right?
Well, because I mean, seriously, did you see Late Night with the Devil?
Not yet, but I really want to.
I watched that too.
You?
Yeah, I watched that one too. It is super solid. I really I liked Abigail better because it was super gory. Late Night with the Devil does some really smart stuff because it's doing that sort of documentary style, like here's footage from a Halloween night broadcast of a late night 70s television show, and it leads into that. And I thought it was really smart. It also, like, to tell the story, does some things where it like shows you stuff that you couldn't see from a documentary standpoint. But, and I said this is really smart, it shows those scenes in black and white, and it makes a choice and it makes a rule. And if you have a rule, you can do whatever you want with story as long as there's a consistency to why you're changing formats and when you change formats.
Sure.
And I think, like, some people were like, oh, that was weird. You started as a documentary and then you showed me like normal movie narrative and then you went back to the I was like, no. There was a rule. When when the cameras are off, you get to see what's happening backstage. Otherwise, you don't get that part of the story. Are you just going to be okay with that? How do you show that? The filmmaker said, I want to be able to show what happens backstage when the cameras aren't rolling. And the only way I can do that is if I come up with a convention, a way to do it, a gimmick that is consistent. And he's like, well, I'll just do it in black and white and make that like handheld. And then when they come back to the show, you're back on the live 70s, TV cameras. I thought they did that. I thought that was smart, a smart way to do it. The movie's cool, really well acted. I won't spoil this one, so watch it. Let me know what you think.
Okay. It's on my list. Problem is just finding time to sit down. Like X, I sat down and watched.
Yep.
Hardcore, I watched for the most part, but I didn't mean to.
Was there a moment where you're like, should I stop? Should I bail? No, I'm here.
I was already into it enough. And like, I think if me and Amanda were watching it together or it was Shitty Movie Sunday, I might have paused and been like, hey, let's take a vote on whether we're continuing this or not. But it was just me and like, I'm a big boy and I was okay with it, But like,
have you ever had to turn off a Shitty Movie Sunday because of content? Like, ooh.
Yeah. Were you there the time that we watched the softcore porn?
I was there when we watched Necromantic.
Nope. We did that one all the way through.
We made that one all the way through.
I think it was Keith Christensen, who's a special effects guy that I worked with for a while, gave me. No, it wasn't Keith Christensen. It was Glenn. There's a dude I worked with named Glenn. Forget his last name. Special effects guy. He gave me a 3-disc little box set, and it was a softcore porn set. Horror related.
Oh God.
And the one that we ended up, he was like, this would be great for Shitty Movie. And all of the summaries were perfect Shitty Movie, but for sure we're going to be softcore porns. And remember my friend Candace from Frisbee?
Yeah. Okay.
She was 20, maybe 21 at the time. And it was her first Shitty Movie.
Oh no.
And that got voted in. It was Beaver Creek 2, The Legend of Something Something. And like, we voted it in, and the movie starts with two busty blondes in a hot tub who very quickly start massaging each other and taking their shirts off. There is a boy juggling a soccer ball really close to this at floor, like in what's it called? In-ground hot tub. And he's so busy juggling his soccer ball, he accidentally knocks it into the hot tub to discover these two hot chicks. They pull him in. It's all softcore. Then it cuts to a scene of like, or the next scene is a man who's the boss and a secretary or a woman. There's some other woman there who works for him or something. She's subservient in some way. She starts doing a striptease for him. And she, like, you don't see anything below the waist in any of this.
No,
but
yeah, it's all just TNA. Like, it's just,
it was softcore, but it was hysterical. She starts doing this, striptease for him. She unties his tie and she's like shimmying his tie back and forth, around his neck. She pulls the tie off and does it to herself. And it cuts to his reaction. And his shirt is unbuttoned and his tie is still around his neck. Then it cuts to her and she's shimmying the tie on her ass. And it cuts back to him and his tie is around his neck. Then she throws the tie between her legs and catches it behind her butt crack.
Oh, so does a little floss?
Little flossy floss in the undercarriage. And we're dying because every time it cuts back to this fucking tool, and maybe I shouldn't use that word, but this fucking guy, not his tool, but every time you see him, he's still got the fucking tie around his shoulders. And then I almost want to turn the camera around so you can see me do this. But then she says something equivalent to take me, and she knocks everything off of his desk and literally just bends like at a 90-degree angle as like a hinge, just boom, lays down on the right angle with her ass in the air, and he starts to take his pants off, and I hit pause and I was like, are we picking another movie? And everybody was like, yep, we don't need to watch an hour and a half of that.
That's hysterical.
We were cracking up. We never watched anything else from that box set.
So I also got to tell you, nothing kills the mood more than making a gigantic fucking mess. Like,
if a girl ever knocked all the shit off my desk, I'd be like, what are you doing? That was a 3,000 piece knockoff Aliens Lego set. What are you doing?
Right? And she's like, take me. Boom. You're like, no, I got to pick up my Lego set before I forget where all the pieces go.
I'll be like,
there's broken glass here. We're going to step
even if
in
it
this.
wasn't that, even if it was just regular shit, like right, I'm looking on my table right now. There's books, there's mail, there's a pencil sharpener. I would be like, you could pick all that shit up and then we'll decide if we're moving into the bedroom. But you already have like 4 demerits. Pick that up. Oh, she was in a schoolgirl costume, so maybe that was part of the theme.
It's like, boom! Oh, there goes my computer, my light, the monitor connected to the computer.
Yeah, that guy was still trying to figure out how she was flossing with, and also he was wearing the same tie.
That's the real story of the movie. It's tie warp. Like time warp, but tie. That's a terrible joke. Anyway, we can workshop it later. That'll be fine.
Smack that joke right off the table.
Take me.
Oh man,
amazing. Yeah, except we got through fucking Necromantic.
Yeah. God, I don't even know where to begin describing the things we saw in Necromantic. It's an interesting watch.
We were at a party once at a work party, but like everybody was there, and there was a big screen in the living room, and they were projecting,
playing one of those guys' daughters' OnlyFans page.
No, it was movie trailers, right?
Yeah.
Well, movie trailers from the 70s. Holy shit! And at one point, everybody was like, I think there was the trailer for like Ilse She-Wolf of the SS, and the host of the party, who's like an EV, it was like, oh, and everyone was like, this is awkward, and they're like, yeah, it's a fucking movie, man. I mean, trailers are weird, and there are a lot of movies from the 70s that were real weird.
Man. Do you have any more movies to talk about tonight?
No, that's all I got. I mean, I've been watching X-Men 97. That is,
I know. I need to do that. But that's the thing, is like, by the time I sit down, it's 9:30 at night, and
have you watched any of it?
Zero. Nope, zero. That's the one about Superman, right?
Name's Gambit, mon ami. remember it. Oh, holy shit! I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
I'll get there. I just need to sit down. So here's the thing. I got one more that I can mention because it's an interesting experience. But it's like half in, half out. Kent's walking in. Amanda needs something. I keep pausing shit. So like, it's like no stakes movie watching. So I'm watching something I don't give a shit about. I found one. I think it was on Paramount Plus called Crawl Space.
Okay.
And it's
yeah.
You see it? Not the old one. A new one.
A new one? Is it got alligators in it?
Nope. No, I think you're thinking of Eaten Alive.
No. Crawl Space. Okay. Henry Thomas?
Yeah. He's the guy from E.T., right?
Sure. I don't know. Maybe. Yes, Henry Thomas is from E.T. Correct.
So he plays a plumber, and his wife is pregnant, and he's just a nice guy, and everybody's taking their time paying him. And she's like, you need to be more forceful. He's like, we're in a fight now. So he goes to this place. Meanwhile, actually, the movie opens with a really weird scene of these guys cutting down a tree. And this whole parallel plot of like tree poaching. These guys are cutting down these endangered giant protected trees.
What?
And it's like that town's version of organized crime, but it's like legit. The whole movie is these cops and this FBI woman arguing about like how legit this is or not. And the guy, the Henry Thomas plumber, he goes to this guy's house and the guy's not there. He goes in the crawl space. And these two bad guys who we've already seen murder a truck driver about this tree chopping ring, they go into this house, beating up the guy who owns the house, and they shoot him. They murder him after asking him about where's the money? Where's the money? Henry Thomas is in the crawl space under the house, but can see through the floorboards. So he witnesses this happen and finds a giant bag of money. And then he's like, oh, fuck. So he tries to get out of there. As he leaves the crawl space, those guys see him. He goes back in the crawl space and is able to lock it from the inside by wedging some shit. And now those guys are trying to get him out of the crawl space, kill him, and get the money. And he's trying to stay alive and
with an arrow stuck in him.
Yes, he does get shot with an arrow at one point.
Does he have a cell phone while he's under the stairs?
That is my immediate question. The only thing I could think of is Amanda or Kent came in at the time where it explained he didn't have service or something. Or at a certain point, he mans up and is like, you know what? Fuck you. You leave here and I will leave you some of this money. But if you stay, he literally like punches up a grate, like a heating grate, and he lights like $10,000 on fire and just throws it at them. And he's like, stop shooting. They're shooting at him through the floor. He's like, every time you do something I don't like, I'm going to burn more of this money. And so like, it's a very interesting idea, but then you start to look at it for 5 seconds and you're like, well, wait, why wouldn't he just do this? And then you're like, well, why wouldn't they just do this? Yeah. And you're like, there's a million ways for either of them to do something different. But the movie is one of those things where it's like, don't suppose too hard about that. Don't think too hard about that. It's got a good little kind of twist at the end, which I kind of want to talk about, but I don't want to, in case anyone watches it, it's like a decent.
Nobody's going to watch this movie. Go ahead.
So there's two cops.
Yeah.
Two main cops and an FBI woman. The FBI woman is just the FBI. So this is a whole different movie than the one that's happening in the crawl space. That one is not winning any awards. This one is like straight up NYPD Blue or what is it? CSI or SVU. Sure. It's just made for TV police procedurals, and everybody's acting and talking their lines real quick, but without any real conviction. There's a woman cop who is in a movie of her own. It's almost like they were like, pretend that you're slightly special, that you're just an optimist and in a good, cheery mood, and everything that happens is at least a little amusing to you. So like they go to investigate this guy at a sawmill, and he runs from them. And it's this cop and this FBI woman. The FBI woman's like, freeze, we just want to talk to you. And she's chasing him and he's jumping over things and throwing pallets at her. When the cop catches him, she's got this like smarmy attitude. And she's like, I went around the long way and caught you. And it's not played for laughs. She's just talking that way. And it makes no sense. It's one of the weirdest things I've seen in a movie in a while. At the end of the movie, she ends up getting some information from E.T.'s wife. E.T.'s wife is in the cop car with her, and they're going to this house to question the guy. So you're like, oh no, now they're going to be in danger because these bad guys are there. When they get there, the girl cop gets out of the car and she is in on it. She's like kind of the linchpin that was holding this thing together, which you don't see coming. And I guess maybe the filmmakers made her play stupid so that you didn't see that coming. But even when she turns evil, it's like Dr. Claw evil. Like she's not intimidating, but I guess she kind of catches you off guard, and on your back foot, you kind of don't know what to expect from her at that point because she does turn a little ruthless. But it's like when your 5-year-old's like, I'm gonna go live at a different house. You're like, okay, let's see go ahead, see how that goes, you know? So it's weird because you're like, I don't know how big of a threat you are because this whole movie you seemed like a fucking clampet, you know? But it's a fun little movie. It's like that's the movie I thought Hardcore was going to be. I could put this on at 9:30 at night, either fall asleep to it and finish it tomorrow or fuck around on my phone. But it was interesting. And there's a couple cool things. The Henry Thomas drills through the floor at one point, drills right through one of the bad guys' feet. They try to gas him out of the house. And then they fill the place with gas and then go in after him. And he ends up having a fight with one of them. He makes a homemade gun using pipes and parts of shit he finds underneath. Yeah. He cuts out. He gets shot with a crossbow. He cuts the arrow out of his shoulder and then cauterizes it using a blowtorch, like a butane torch that he's got in his kit. So it's like one of those like, you didn't have to do any of that. There was actual real things you could have done. But like, okay, cool. If you're trying to make a plumber trapped under a house seem interesting and badass, you did it. You accomplished that.
It's just one of those things where like they knew what they wanted to see, and they didn't want to do the homework to make sure that was the thing that had to happen.
I think that's a good way. That's actually a great way to say it. They're like, wouldn't it be cool if he did this? And like, yeah, but what if he just fucking called the police? And like, no. But if he does that, he doesn't have to make a gun. I want him to make this gun. And you're like, oh, okay.
That's funny. Interesting.
It's a fun little thing. It's like when you think of like Red Eye, a movie that just takes place. That was on Paramount, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's like I like movies that are in a tight place or a small thing or trapped in not just a place, but one situation the whole time.
Oh,
me
too.
And you're like, how do you get out? And I think a lot of those fail, but as long as they're fun, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be Reservoir Dogs every time. As long as you keep like Red Eye was not award winning, but I was in that plane with them the whole time, and I was happy with that movie. It was fun. It was interesting.
This weekend, me and my writing partner just started our next script, and it all takes place in a single situation like this.
Was it a bathroom in a green room?
Oh yeah. Yeah. One movie I did watch while I was on a plane, since you brought up Red Eye, I watched Top Gun Mavericks on a plane.
Smart. That's good. That's good synergy right there.
It was. It like put me in like 4D, man. I was in that XD theater. It was like, oh, as I hit turbulence, I'm like,
I was going to say, did you wait to play it until you were in turbulence?
No, the way the movie synced up was so fucking weird. So like literally in the movie, like one of the characters like, get ready for some rough air, man. And then literally the second he says that, guys, we're gonna hit some some rough air. Yeah, buckle your seatbelts. And I was like, whoa, we're syncing up perfectly. And then right when we started to descend, they were like, please put your tray tables and your chairs in the upright position. And then one of the idiot like pilots was like, get your tray tables in the upright position, amigos. Here we go. Woo! For a sequel, that movie was exactly what it needed to be.
For a sequel of a movie that was like
25 years ago. Yeah,
like
yeah.
Top Gun is a milestone of that movie, right? Like,
yeah. For a movie,
I think it was fun.
Presented by the U.S. Navy, Air Force, and Lockheed Martin. That's just a complete like training video for people who want to join the Army. Yeah, fucking great. I was super worried because when I didn't see Top Gun until 2020.
Damn.
Yep. I watched it as a pandemic movie and I was like dying. I was like, this movie is so cheesy.
Perfect. It's like right up there with Point Break, where it's like I could watch that every day. I don't need to, and I shouldn't, but you could.
So silly and so funny and completely unaware that it's so stupid. It takes itself so seriously. And I was on board. I was dying laughing. So then the sequel comes out, and I'm like, I don't know if the movie knows that I think it's that stupid. Is it going to be that stupid again? Am I going to laugh at how stupid it was? And well, this movie definitely was stupid and not stupid enough to make me laugh the whole time like I was when I saw the original.
Right.
It did okay. It was pretty funny and cheesy enough that I was like, okay, the tone's still there. My favorite part is when they're like, hey, if we do not have people playing some sort of beach sport to mimic the volleyball scene, we will not do our movie right. So like, how about we play dogfight football?
Yeah, it was like weird run around football.
with two footballs, you're playing offense and defense at the same time. That game isn't real. Not only that, but that game doesn't work. How do you play that game? Who made up this game?
That's like when they make a new Predator. They're like, well, the new Predator movie, there's a different species of Predator. No, you don't need that. This is like in the new Top Gun, there's a different species of volleyball. No, man, just have them on a beach. They could play volleyball. It'll be fine.
They could just play football. You didn't need to.
Or you could play offense, defense, football, 2 footballs nonstop. Ready, go.
That's the thing. And like, I looked it up and online, the internet was like, how do these rules work? And people were like, this isn't a real game. You couldn't even pick a real game to play? What? Why? It made me like it even more. That movie is hysterical. And it was fine. I'm glad I watched it on a plane. Everybody's like, sacrilege. You should watch it in IMAX. I'm like, what IMAX? What IMAX is just like, oh yeah, that movie from last year. You want me to pop that one on for you? I missed it. Sorry.
Buy it on VHS.
Yeah. I like watching movies on the plane just to piss people off. I'm like, oh yeah, I should watch Avengers Endgame in the theater. Thanks, Delta. Oppenheimer. What's the optimal format? 70 millimeter. Thanks. Thanks, Delta. I prefer the perfect format for me, the back of someone's seat.
Nice. Yeah. As long as it syncs up with the turbulence.
Oh my God. So I'm up 30,000 feet in the air for a Friday night, flying home to see my family. And I get a text message. Hey, are you near set?
Love it.
And then my watch is like, hey fella, your heartbeat's beating pretty fast. I love it when my watch has been like, it like says it so caringly. It's like, hey fella, hey buddy, you haven't been.
Does it really say fella?
No.
You program it to say that?
No, it just says like, hey, you haven't been as active lately as you usually are. You doing okay? It's just like, it's like, hey, fat ass, you're just sitting around a lot. You should probably get up and move around. Hey, your heartbeat's going real fast and you're not doing shit, dog. You should probably settle the fuck down. And I'm like trapped in an airplane. It's like, hey, you're not moving and your heartbeat is just elevated like you're jogging down the block. Like, what's wrong with you?
Your watch is, bro, you okay?
I like to think it's it's checking in on me. It's like, oh, hey, you all right? Your heartbeat's getting a little fast there. You want to calm down? You need to breathe. And it's like, yeah, I was like, so no, sorry, I'm 30,000 feet away and probably missing a bunch of phone calls, and all I can get is this text. It's like, are you near work?
Did you just write back? Not really.
I wrote back. I wrote back. I'll take care of it, and I
Lying in.
contacted my. Luckily, my coworker was in town, and he went back to work at like midnight on a Friday.
Damn.
Yeah, I thought I was safe. Hey, where are you? Awesome. My poor watch. Hey,
I
hey,
just started
fella.
wearing my robot watch, and the other day I thought I'd turn this feature off, but the other day it was like, "Hey, take a moment to be mindful." And I was like, "Shut up, hippie! You're supposed to be trying to like destroy the human race. Don't tell me to calm down."
Hey, yesterday you closed your rings. Today you haven't done shit. Let's try and do it next week. All right.
I
Like,
told my watch, "You have two jobs. Tell me what time it is. Tell me what I need to do later today." That's where our relationship ends. I will charge you every 30 hours if you do that. Try to overstep. You try to be my friend. I don't need another friend. Watch.
oh, I love it. Yeah, it's no, I don't love it, but I love the joke is funny. Yeah, my Apple Watch telling me my heartbeat's going too hard.
Hey, bud. You doing okay?
Hey man, you about to have a heart attack? I don't know, watch, you tell me.
I think it's time to calm down.
I the thing is, like, I know it knows that I'm 30,000 feet in the air. And it should just be like, oh, hitting a little turbulence, buddy. Yeah, watch. How'd you know? Your heartbeat just went, woo. Your heartbeat went about as high as this fucking airplane.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
You doing
thanks.
okay?
Thanks, watch. Hey, you lazy fat ass. You should probably walk. Take a few more steps today. Thanks, watch. Appreciate
I'm
that.
sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
Oh my God. And here I am on the internet having to prove that I'm a human. Fuckers.
Yeah. Dude, I failed one of those tests the other day, hardcore, and I could not figure out why. I was like, there are no other stop signs in this picture. I assure you.
Why is that the test? Point to a bicycle. Is this a bicycle? Is that a bike? Point to a road. Like, why is it all like highway related? Am I actually?
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
Like, am I actually training a different robot to because like if I'm telling the robot what it is to be human,
Right.
now the robot knows. I know what bicycles are. Beep boop beep 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 beep. This is easy. Can't believe like is that the only thing keeping robots from fucking us up? Is they can't figure out
Cyborgs and microchips. Thank you for attending this meeting. As you all know, we have been having trouble identifying stop signs and street signs and fire hydrants. The good news is the humans have been clicking and clicking. We now know what these stop signs look like.
because I'm like, what if I just decline? I don't know if I've ever been like, no, skip.
Then you skip it?
The humans have been deciphering our squiggy letters and they now have taught us the code. Like, yeah, every time I'm like, it's like, read this damn word that's all squiggled up. I'm like, should I? Maybe I should.
Yeah, you're right. Now I'm imagining a fucking T800 on the other end of that server connection, and it like the like little red eyes just roll up the ceiling as it shakes its head. Stupid flesh bags.
Oh, no. He goes, he's like waiting there. He's like waiting to see if you're going to do it. And you're like, all right, stop sign, stop sign, stop sign, stop sign. He goes, easy money.
Yeah.
You just helped him get into somebody's bank account.
Yeah. Yeah. How funny.
Wow, we really are just inviting our own doom. Thanks.
So what would trying to think, what's the opposite then? If that's us trying to make sure. So okay, so after Judgment Day, when
Yeah.
Skynet is trying to take over the world, Skynet is going to have security features to make sure that the human rebellion is not trying to corrupt its systems, right?
So
how is a T-800 or any other sort of Terminator going to identify itself as a machine and not a human? So
solve
how
this
do you
simple mathematical problem in metric. It's just going to ask us a math problem that all
No, I
humans are just
disagree.
like,
I think it's going to say something to the effect of like there is a ugly, annoying person hanging off of a cliff 2 feet away, and a beautiful baby who is just the sweetest thing hanging off of a cliff 5 feet away. Which one are you going to save? And then the robot has to decide, like, if you decide the baby, no, because you picked the cutest thing. If you pick the fat, ugly person, that's the most logistic person to save because it's closer. But if you're a robot picking to save a person, you have no place in this Skynet's army, so get out.
Get out.
The real answer is nobody. Don't save
nobody.
anybody.
Don't say. That's smart, dude. Hell yeah. Oh yeah. That we are really.
Good thing I told you that over the internet. Skynet's like writing that shit down. Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Like, oh, he's smart. Here I am picking out fire hydrants for him, jackasses. Oh, well, guys, it's that time again. Let us know, what movies have you been watching?
Prove to us that you are human.
Click on the best pizza topping. Like, whoa.
Amazon Prime has all their pizza toppings blurred out.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
God.
Yeah. Did you guys watch the movie about E.T. Elliott stuck in a crawl space? Did you watch the Dorsey Scott porno movie? How
Or
about
that
Abigail?
random censored movie of the girl in the
wrong
car
X.
getting bleeped. Yeah,
I
gotta look that up.
Yeah. How about that? Abigail. How about that? What about Late Night with the Devil? X-Men 97. You guys digging on that? Dude, that is an unskippable intro, my dog. When that thing comes on, I'm like, oh,
It's the same intro.
Fuck yeah, it is. It's a new like version of it, but it's the same. There's a few extra.
But it's the song. It's an updated version.
Oh, fuck yeah. It's really good.
All right. I'll try to do that.
So good. All right. Yeah, do it. Let us know. Facebook, Instagram, and Twix. And YouTube at Launchpad Pod. Our website, launchpadpod.com. Only one thing left for us to do, dog. Let's blast this thing off. Hell yeah. We're the Rocketeers, and we are out.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.